Obama White House did was they picked a fight with Fox News Channel. And that's only because Fox News has picked every single fight with them. So they decided to punch back a little bit, and they sent Anita Dunn out there, and she's the main person arguing for a more forceful position with Fox News Channel. And, we have her comments. It's clip number 4. I just want to remind you of what they were and how this all got started, and then we'll tell you what's happened since her comments. So here's Anita Dunn from the White House.
I mean, the reality of it is that Fox News often operates almost as either the research arm or the communications arm of the Republican Party. Let's be realistic here, Howie. They're widely viewed as, a part of the Republican Party. Take their talking points, put them on the air. Take their opposition research, put them on the air, and that's fine. But let's not pretend they're a news network the way CNN is.
Now, I only agree with that 1,000,000%. Apparently, I'm one of the few, because many people in the press are aghast at the White House, including a lot of the top progressive people in the country and journalists, etc. MSNBC and CNN instantly jumped to Fox News' defense. Not just that Howard Kurtz interview where he challenged Anita Dunn over and over again. That's fine. As a journalist, he should challenge whoever's on his hair, right? But then, no, there was commentary, and it's too long to play here. 5-minute clip on CNN bashing the White House. How dare they pick on poor little Fox News? MSNBC, same exact thing. And then now papers all over the country. Megan Garber from Columbia Journalism Review. Hal Bodecker from Orlando Sentinel. Doug Hay from U.S. News & World Report. Chris Rosar from New York Magazine. Chuck Rosh from USA Today. And John Nichols from The Nation. One of the oldest progressive magazines in the country, of course, all saying, oh, this is terrible, Obama's become the whiner-in-chief, and I can't believe they're whining about this, and poor old Fox, yes, they might be a little conservative, but they're challenging the president as they should. All right, now let's clarify the record. All right, number one, as a matter of tactics, it makes perfect sense. Number one, you change the conversation from all the things that Fox is accusing you of, whatever nonsense that they got going on today, whether it's the birthers or the death panels or Acorn or that you're a Marxist or whatever mud they're slinging your way, you change the conversation to, hey, is Fox News a conservative shill? And are they just an outlet of Republican propaganda? See, that's a conversation you can't lose because we're having a debate on how bad Fox News is. And then you'll have people who are mysteriously defending their opponents. MSNBC and CNN are supposed to be competing in the ratings, for example. And when Fox News wins in the ratings, they take out full-page ads rubbing against CNN and MSNBC's face in some of the most vicious ways. But when Fox News is attacked, MSNBC and CNN jump to their defense. Oh, no, Fox News is great. Why are you going after them? Because they're trying to change the conversation to, hey, you got to understand these guys are not covering the news straight. They have an agenda, and that is why they're ramming this stuff down our throat. The White House is exactly right to do that. Number two, as far as if you don't challenge them, like if you listen to the rest of this, honestly, these guys who are incredibly foolish in the press, saying that, no, you shouldn't hit back to Fox News, well, then you're going to get swift-boated on every issue. What happened to John Kerry in 2004 is going to happen to you on every single issue. You're going to sit there and say, oh, no, I can't attack Fox News because the rest of the press told me that I'd be whining if I did. So go ahead, make up any kind of nonsense you want, and have at it, Hoss. You think that's a smart strategy for the White House? Come on, now, you can't think that. All right, now, point number 3. Most importantly, they're right. Of course they're right. Anyone that isn't a complete and utter either idiot or completely biased, you can't see that Fox News biases their news, not just their opinion shows, but their news shows, in favor of conservative propaganda? Are you kidding me? Look, Daily Show did a great piece on this just earlier this week. They do that stupid teabag protest on 9/12. Fox News is all over it. They got reporters at the scene. They got 8 different reporters at the scene. They're not just at the event. They were encouraging the event through their news shows. So, you better get out there. This thing's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Here's how you can get out there. Here's how you can take it apart. A couple of weeks later, almost exactly a month later, there's a gay rights parade. Almost the same exact number of people that showed up, about 75,000 for each parade. Fox News spent less than 4 minutes on it. They didn't send a single cameraman or a single reporter. I didn't see any of their news shows encouraging that march. I didn't see any of them going out there saying, oh boy, you better show up, and why isn't the rest of the press covering this? And since Fox News didn't cover it, the rest of the schmucks on TV are like, oh, Fox News didn't send a camera guy. So MSNBC sent 1 reporter, CNN sent none. Same number of protesters. Why aren't you covering it? I don't know. The Fox News. Is Fox News biased? Do I have to have this conversation? Are you serious? All right, look. And then, by the way, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Let's not forget that, right? On the day of the election in the year 2000, all the networks were unsure who won Florida. It was, for all intents and purposes, a statistical tie. One network came out late at night and said, no, it's over. We're calling it. And they called it for George W. Bush. Do you know who that network was? That news network? Fox. Do you know the guy who made that decision? And a lot of you might not know this. This is absolutely true. It seems so stunning that you can't quite believe it. Look it up. Google it. The guy who made that decision at Fox News was George Bush's cousin. Yes, George W. Bush's cousin. And then the rest of the absolute morons, that the television news actors, like, oh my God, Fox News called it. Oh, we're behind. We're late. Fox News is on it. Okay, we call it too. Yes. All right, Bush wins. And then they later turn around and they're like, oh, really? Oh, it's a statistical tie? Oh, and then if you had counted the votes, it turns out Al Gore would have won. Well, you look at that. You think that might be relevant, that they decided an election in favor of a Republican who didn't win? You think, no, but they have no agenda. No agenda. They just hired Bush's cousin to call the election. All right. Now, if you're still painfully stupid enough not to believe that their news side has an agenda, we've got something awesome for you. But before we do that, I want to explain something. Because they throw out, opinion hosts and news, and they try to confuse you. In my mind, there are 3 different categories. There are the opinion hosts like Bill O'Reilly, Keith Olbermann, the Young Turks. We do opinion, right? Then there is ideologically driven news, or what you could call the partisan press, right? That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying Fox News shouldn't exist. Obviously, it's a free country. You can do any kind of show you want, any kind of network you want, right? But you just have to be clear. And they are ideologically driven, obviously. Now, on the other hand, they'll say, MSNBC is ideologically driven. Nonsense. Morning Joe is a Republican 3 solid hours. He's a former Republican congressman. He claims he's the most conservative guy in America. 3 solid hours in the morning. And when they do their news, they don't say, how can we help Obama? They don't have news meetings where Dan Moody, the vice president of Fox News, sent that famous memo saying, hey, if the Democrats win, try to catch terrorists celebrating. We'll put it on air and pretend they're on the side of the Democrats. MSNBC and CNN do not have meetings like that, okay? Because they are the 3rd category, straight news. Not everybody on MSNBC, they have opinion shows like Oberman and Maddow and Ed Schultz, et cetera, et cetera. But their news division is straight news. Now, if you say, hey, no, wait a minute, Cenk, still not sold. I mean, after the comparison of the parades, after I've seen a million things that Fox does, after they drove this whole Acorn and Bill Ayers and Reverend Wright and all that nonsense, and even after they called a whole election for Bush by hiring his cousin to do so, still not convinced. All right. Let's see if this will do it for you. The first clip we're going to play for you, clip number 5, is organized by the Republican Party. It is the talking points that they want to put out. It's an official part of it's from GOP.com. Okay, so let's watch that first. Here you go.
Where are the jobs?
Where are the jobs?
Mr. President, where are the jobs?
Listen with me and see if we can hear the sound of jobs.
Shh. Got to listen real close. Quiet. Well, I'm not hearing anything. The administration told us in this House months ago that if the American people stood in favor of the stimulus package, that unemployment would peak at 8%. And yet here in Illinois, the state that I represent, we've now eclipsed 10%.
And most of my constituents are asking, where are the jobs?
Well, the economy hasn't gained 3 million jobs. It's actually lost 3 million jobs. Where are the jobs? And unemployment is almost 10%, and in my home state of Michigan, it is 15.2% today.
Before we move on to the next big government scheme of this administration, the American people are asking, Mr. President, where are the jobs?
The Speaker said it's about jobs. But the national unemployment's 9.5%, and in the Midwest it's in double digits.
Where are the jobs?
Where are the jobs with this stimulus? They want to know why the only apparent answer here in Washington is more spending and more borrowing. My constituents want their voices heard.
The American people know if Americans are not working, America is not working.
All the $1 trillion stimulus bill did was spend taxpayer money to create more government regulations, more government control, and more government bureaucrats. That's too bad, and that's just the way it is.
The number one priority of this Congress and this administration should be job creation.
My constituents, along with those across Ohio and our nation, are asking, where are those jobs?
Now, you've never seen a more clear Republican talking point in your life, right? Those were all elected Republican officials, obviously all on the same page, and the theme that they want to pound in is, where are the jobs? Now, let's go to the Fox News anchors and see if they've picked up on this theme. Clip number 6.
At this point, with so much money spent and so many people out of work, a lot of Americans have the same question for the White House day after day. Where are the jobs?
So, where are the jobs? America's economy on the road to recovery, but with a big problem. Where are the jobs?
If it is working, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Which begs the question, where are the jobs?
That's a growing economy, not great from the lows, but it's growing. So where are the jobs?
All right, where are the jobs?
Well, you know, it really is going to be, where are the jobs? That's the big question.
The unemployment numbers out makes you wonder the question we've been asking all week. Where are the jobs in America today? I think there are 4 questions on this whole segment. Where are the jobs? Who's talking about them? Just where are the jobs? Simply. We'll continue to ask the question, where are the jobs?
Gee, did they pick up on that Republican talking point and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it through their news anchors? Well, we report, you decide. Is there anyone in the country left unconvinced? Really? Really? That they're not just an outlet of the Republican propaganda and clearly conservative, and nothing wrong with being conservative as long as they plant that flag and say, hey, you know what, we're an ideologically driven channel, and our job, we view it as progressing the conservative ideology. So if our news is tilted that way, of course, because we're ideologues. Then I say, hey, have at it, Hoss. That's perfectly acceptable. But to pretend, and for the rest of the press and the news, to pretend that they are not ideologically driven, that they're nonpartisan and give you straight news, is greatly harmful to this country and to the truth. It can't possibly be any clearer. All right, now, what is the result of all of this? Now, I showed you the result in 2000 was enormous, right? What's the result today? Well, turns out there's a story out now because of a poll done by Gallup about how Obama has now, quote, become more polarizing than Hillary Clinton. Okay, let it sink in, okay? So, it's not that they have attacked him so much, it's that Obama is polarizing. When he came in, he had a 78% approval rating. Unreal. Sky high, right? Even among Republicans, he had a 60% approval rating when he came in. That's been knocked down to 19%. Now, why? Gee, I wonder how. How did that happen? Could it have been the non-stop attacks from Fox News and the conservative radio hosts and the rest of the press that aids and abets them by pretending they're doing real news. And then in the end, it's not because, and the story gets reported in the Associated Press, not as, hey, they tore down his numbers by attacking him nonstop, but Obama has become more polarizing, like it's his fault, than Hillary Clinton. Gee, I wonder how Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton got so polarizing. It couldn't be that that they got attacked in the same exact way by Fox News Channel and those same conservative hosts. By the way, look, if Obama was an ideologue on the left and he was pursuing policies that were, you know, clearly liberal, clearly progressive, clearly way left wing, then you say, well, all right, then maybe both are at fault because Fox News is clearly viciously attacking him with things that aren't even true a majority of the time, right? But hey, he's also had it coming, right? Instead, Obama, as we've seen 100 times, out of his way, bipartisan, please, 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 let's be bipartisan. I'm begging you to be bipartisan. How can I get Olympia Snow's vote? How can I get Chuck Grassley's vote or MikeEnzie's vote? What do I have to do? What do I have to give away? What concession do I have to do? What compromise do I have to do? Oh, banking laws? Screw the banking laws. No. Public option, yeah, I like it, but it's not essential. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What else do I need to give away? I mean, you just saw today, Bobby Jindal gets booed during his speech. Obama's giving a speech and the crowd boos when he mentions Bobby Jindal. And he says, no, Bobby Jindal's a good guy. He's working hard, and he's doing a good job for Louisiana. That's the guy who's polarizing? Now, look, this is what drives me crazy. It's because this is not an accurate reflection of what's actually happening in this country. And if all of the press goes along with the same message, the same wrong message, how are we not surprised when we come out with an electorate that is grossly misinformed? And the organization that is at the center of that misinformation is Fox News Channel. If the White House does not attack them, they would be incredibly foolish. Of course they have to attack them on all fronts. And the fact that the rest of the press goes along with Fox News is disgusting.